take responsibility. There's a book that I like by Jocko Willink, which is Extreme Ownership. And this is a mindset that I started to take on years ago, to the point that it's become quite normal in me, and this is what we want for you. Take responsibility for 100% of the things that happen in your life. I remember a video that I made years ago went viral. It's got like 2 million views. It's like the channel trailer. When you click on my like little picture, it's the channel trailer that shows up, the full guide to self-improvement, where I gave this analogy like years ago, which I still really like, which is we should think that anything that happens to us in our lives is our responsibility. Imagine we're in a cafeteria right now. You know, it's lunchtime. And imagine if someone bumps into us and they've spilt all this stuff there, right? Now, a lot of guys, weak men who want to escape hard work, they'd want it to be clear to everyone that it's not their responsibility, it wasn't me. But again, imagine the top tier leader, imagine Winston Churchill, imagine Jordan Peterson, imagine Andrew Tate, imagine the guys that you might look up to, and you know, like a random person bumped into them and they spilt everything. Would these strong men, would Jordan Peterson say like, oh guys, it wasn't me, it's not my responsibility? Or could you imagine Jordan Peterson actually saying to the person who bumped into them, oh, sorry, come on, I'll help you clean up? Like these successful, like you could think of any good leader right now, you could think of any masculine man, and truthfully, if he's like an actual successful masculine man, he would genuinely be on his hands and knees wiping up the floor with the person whose like fault it is. But these masculine men would have taken responsibility for it. So why don't we? How about you start to see responsibility like a skill? Like, you know, in video games, we had different skills, didn't we? We had the magic skill and the attack skill and this skill and this skill. What if you start to see responsibility as a skill and realize that your responsibility skill level, you're a noob. You're a noob in this skill because you don't take much responsibility. But if you start to gain experience in this responsibility skill by just constantly, you know, looking out for the opportunities where you can take responsibility for something, whether it's a mess on the floor, whether it's making money for your family, or it's helping someone, or it's doing something, or it's saying something. If you take more and more responsibility and gain experience and levels in this skill, it will mean that you can become more independent and actually be capable of more things yourself. Because a man who's responsible for the mess on the floor can go on to be responsible for a family. But a man who won't be responsible for the mess on the floor, think about how much responsibility he's going to take with his family, with his work. Think about it. The guy who wouldn't clean up that mess in that situation I'm telling you about, the guy who'd be like, you know, the pussy, and this is most guys, this is probably you, this is me for most of my life, right? Oh yeah, no, guys, it wasn't me. You know, you'd be hoping that everyone knew that, and you'll kind of silently just go like sit somewhere else, right? Because we're all fucking awkward these days. Well, that kind of guy, if you wouldn't take responsibility for this, chances are you're not going to take responsibility for actually making some real money, for actually providing for your family, for actually finding like a good woman. So we've got to take responsibility for these small things. And this is why you've probably seen a lot of those cringe videos and pieces of advice of people saying like, oh, make your bed. You've heard that advice before, yeah, make your bed. Oh, if you want to make $1 million, start by making your bed. Well, the reason why successful people say this, Jordan Peterson says this, David Goggins says this, that, okay, you got to start with making your bed. It's because you've got to take responsibility for something. It's not that making your bed, suddenly there's going to be cash in your bank account. Of course not. But making your bed will give you some responsibility experience. It will get, you know, some XP in this skill. It'll give you some momentum so you take more responsibility throughout the day because, you know, it's going to be in your mind, yeah, I'm making my bed because I want some responsibility XP because Hamza mentioned it in his video. And you'll start to take more responsibility and suddenly you'll start to take responsibilities for some big things like making a fuck ton of money so you can provide for your family. How can you expect to do that when you wouldn't take responsibility for anything else?